Podcasting, the final frontier. These are the broadcasts of ZeroPoint Energy, our continuing mission to seek out new movies, to record nonsensical information, and to boldly go forth and use as little as energy as possible while struggling to stay on topic. Hello and welcome to ZeroPoint Energy, where they zero point what we talk about in just as much energy. I'm Sean,
This is Jorge.
and today is First Contact Day. Yay! So, of
We
course, in celebration of that, we had to watch Star Trek First Contact.
we missed it by a little bit, but yeah.
I mean, by the time you hear this, it's well past First Contact Day. We're recording on First Contact Day, though.
First Contact. I freaking love this movie.
It is a good one. Definitely one of the better of the TNG movies.
Okay, as a kid, like literally a little kid, I knew I liked Star Trek. I didn't know it was a show and shit at the time. And then I remembered like seeing, holy crap, they got movies of the show I used to watch because I was looking for it to find out what the name was once I got older. And then I found out Star Trek.
I was going to say, you were 6 when this movie came out, because it came out in 1996.
No, that's why. But when I was watching TNG, like when it was still on the air, I was like 2 or 3, and then I caught it every
Yeah.
once in a while in not syndication. What's it called? Or is it syndication?
Syndication.
Yeah, in syndication.
Reruns.
Yep.
I mean, TNG was a great show. It still is. It holds up for the most part.
It does. I mean, for the most part, even the sci-fi. I mean, not the sci-fi, the CG.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's back in the day of using practical models. Practical models almost always hold up. And
When will
no,
people go for it?
I just it's a technique that's being lost. It's building the miniatures, building the set pieces. Like, yeah, it might cost a little bit more money, but it looks so much better.
When will people learn from Jurassic Park? That movie holds up like no fucking other.
It does. That movie is going to be celebrating its 30th anniversary. Yeah, actually, yeah, this year will be the 30th anniversary of Jurassic Park.
Well, we know what other
And that
movie we got to watch this year.
and that movie still looks fantastic. Yeah, there's some bits where it's like, oh, it's janky as hell. But it's 30 years old. Of course there's some janky bits. This movie's 28 years old and there's some janky bits, but for the most part, it looks gorgeous.
Agreed. Okay, so onto the movie specifically, we have the entire class cast of the Next Generation returning. Well, okay,
Even
besides Tasha Yar,
Barkley. Oh
even
yeah, besides,
Barclay.
I mean, well, she's dead. So it,
Yeah,
it makes it makes sense. Characters that were permanently killed off the show, they're not there back. But Barkley, surprise cameo by Barkley.
I love that man. Like he's so awkward, so smart, and at the same time so like I don't know. I relate to the man.
Well, that's
Let's see.
because Barkley is you, man. He's so
He's me.
smart, but he is so fucking dumb.
Fuck you.
It's true though. Like, just because like, he's so smart, he overthinks everything, which sends him into these spirals. And it, it just turns out that he's super brilliant and he doesn't realize it because he just worried himself to death. Like, if he would just stop, take a step back, and breathe, calm down. You've got it, buddy. You've got it.
Uh, all right. Barkley is played by the delightful Dwight Schultz.
Dwight Schultz?
Dwight
Really?
Schultz? Yeah. No. What?
I mean, I had an office joke there, but I'm not going with it.
All right. Okay, so we have Patrick Stewart playing the titular captain Jean-Luc Picard. We got Jonathan Frakes as William Riker.
And
Brent
also the
Spiner.
director of this movie.
Yes, actually, his first time directing. We
Well,
also
first time
have.
directing a movie. He directed multiple episodes of TNG.
Okay, fine. First time directing a movie. Let me see what else we got. Besides Frakes, Brent Spiner as Data.
The beautiful Gates McFadden is Beverly Crusher. Deanna Troy, played by Miranda Sirtis,
We got LeVar
uh,
Burton as Geordie LaForge.
and
Like,
Michael
Jor-
Dorn as Commander Worf.
we never get enough Geordie, honestly. I wish he had more speaking parts. Like, I love his enthusiasm and like what he brings to the show, like what he brings to the production.
Yeah, like, but there is a movie that he has a big part in, but it's the movie that everybody hates. Then that would be Generations.
Yeah, everybody hates Generations, and I agree with them for the most part.
But the that's the Geordie heavy movie. So is that why it's such a
Yeah,
bad movie?
no, the story's why it's a bad movie.
True.
We'll get to that one, but like specifically, we also have the acting styles of James Cromwell, Zephyr Cochrane, and our old friend Alfred Woodard.
Yes, she's been in a few movies that we've reviewed recently.
Like I want to say this is like the sixth episode, maybe. Like okay, maybe
Uh,
fifth, fourth or fifth.
possibly, definitely the third or fourth. Probably
Yeah,
the 30th movie we've seen with her in. But that's just
true.
because we watch a lot of movies and we don't always record podcasts on them. Sometimes the movies we watch are literally a waste of our time, and it would be a waste of energy to try to record something about them.
Yeah, that's there's only so much we can do.
We try to be funny, but you can only be funny so much. When a movie is absolute dog shit, that you can't. Sometimes you feel bad even making fun of it.
It's not about
Luckily,
feeling bad, it's about material. There's no frickin' material.
I was about to say, luckily, Mortal Kombat was not one of those movies. We loved shitting on that one.
Agreed. Okay. I like I said before in the prior podcast, okay? I didn't think we could see a worse movie than Mortal Kombat. It happened.
uh,
I'm never gonna watch Pooh again. Just no.
but there's two more of those movies coming out. We need to see them.
Good lord. Fuck. Fine.
The second one did surprisingly well in theaters.
Of course it did.
Oh,
Usually I
we also have the Killer Bambi movie and the Peter Pan movie.
Peter Pan
Those are,
movie might be interesting. There's a lot
yeah,
of material there.
I mean, the Bambi movie looks fun.
I'll take your word for it.
It's Bambi going off to kill the hunters that killed his mom.
Unless they film it like Rambo, no, or like Home Alone.
Yeah,
Seriously, imagine like a Home Alone
but they're
style like movie about revenge. That would be awesome.
yeah, but they're not doing the animal hybrid like they did for Pooh. It's just a deer. Like this is basically just going to be Cocaine Bear, but with deer.
Cone Cake Bear wasn't bad, but it wasn't good.
It was fun.
Back to the movie.
Back to the movie. I mean, this is one of those movies that's it's hard to talk about, kind of, because it's such a good movie that, and I feel like most people have seen it.
Most people have seen it probably. I mean, this is, like you said, one of the more favorite ones, but it is a little, it's a good movie. It's just a little weird in some parts. Like, again, this is mostly nitpicking because it is a good movie, but like the intro to the movie, it doesn't really make it feel like Star Trek. It makes it feel more like hopeful type movie that the opening score by Jerry Goldsmith, like specifically reminded me of like Page Master.
Well, like the opening score has a point, and it's the overall theme of the movie and the song. Not just the theme of the movie, meaning the song that is the theme of the movie. It's the theme of the movie in general, and that is optimism, whimsy, kind of happiness, uh, looking forward to the future. I mean, this is the movie about humans breaking the warp barrier and having their first contact with aliens, which are the Vulcans. And it's that sense of wonder. It's almost childlike wonder. So like it fits the movie, but yeah, for the introduction, since you don't really get any visuals, it's a black screen. You see some text, and then there's the blue highlight around the text. You don't really like the whole intro sequence doesn't work with that song.
I mean, had it been something along the lines of like, let's say, like silhouetted or lit up, as it were, because it was black background, silhouettes of like the first warp ship in humanity's past, or the what do you call it? Like something similar to the intros of Star Trek, where the ship is passing um uh, through different uh, anomalous anomalies in space. Like what do you call it? The what do you
Honestly,
call it?
this is where the intro to Enterprise would have fit perfectly, where they have that timeline of all the enterprises throughout history until they got to the current one.
For a second, I thought you meant the song. I was like, "What are you?" And then you, okay, I understand
No, 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 the visual. Like,
now.
imagine that visual of just seeing to go from the little sailing ship all the way up to the Enterprise E, the Sovereign class Enterprise.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I can give you that one.
Just have that be your background with that song and the text appearing on screen with the names.
That would have made Enterprise like so much better. I have no hate for the intro song for Enterprise, but that would have worked really well for Enterprise too.
Yeah, if they'd have just slowed down showing all the ships and just let the entire intro just be that, just all the enterprises going, just drifting up past the Earth.
Agreed. Oh, also, um, what is it called? Like okay, I forgot what I was gonna say. Sorry, go ahead.
That's okay. It happens, buddy. Sometimes the
Yeah,
ADD
okay.
wins.
Unfortunately, didn't lead me anywhere
Also,
about this.
it is the first time in a long time that we are recording relatively late at night for the both of us.
Yeah, I'm usually
Uh,
asleep by now.
So am I. Like we both now have jobs where we sleep at normal hours of the day, so it's rare that we are up at midnight on a weekday doing anything.
Agreed. It's, I, I, I- I'm usually asleep right now, and I mean fast asleep. I don't even get up in the middle of the night anymore. That's how good my sleep is nowadays.
I'm usually just crawling into bed, but I am dead tired, exhausted. But that's because I usually come home from work at 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. So this is when I finish my dinner and then go to bed.
I love sleeping dead tired. Like, okay, yes, it's exhausting, but at the same time, like you literally just get into bed and pass out. I love that feeling.
Oh, and I amplify my sleep because I started sleeping with the sound of rain, like thunderstorms and stuff playing on YouTube.
Oh, have you seen the like 10-hour uh compilation of the music from what's it called? Halo 3 ODST plus Rain? Like
Yeah,
I
yes.
I
I have
love
done
that
that.
one.
I've done that for sleep. I have done the ambient sounds from Skyrim.
Ooh, nice.
Recently, I just do generic, just thunderstorm, rainstorm, black screen. And of course, if I'm feeling extra, really want to pass out tired, 1 to 2 milligrams of melatonin.
Got to be careful with that. Everyone, do not take too much melatonin or you will not be able to sleep.
True. Like it's not an every night thing for me. It's there's occasional times when I just can't seem to make my brain shut off. I need that little extra help of okay, I need to relax so that I can stop thinking, so that I can sleep. That's why I limit it to 1 or 2 milligrams, three at the most. And the ones I take melatonin candies. They're little chocolates like M&Ms. Uh,
I gotcha.
you're only supposed to take maximum 5 in one 24-hour period. So I never take the full 5. That it's 5 individual candies. Each candy's 1 milligram. So I usually take 2 or 3. 2 is most common. Just for
I
that little bit
gotcha.
of help, that little relaxation. Back to the movies though.
Specifically, I was going to be talking about how, uh, like you were saying with the intro, how it fits more with the intro to Enterprise. But at the same time, I was going to say that like Jerry Goldsmith does a really good job. Like you said, it does the whimsy and the like hope in a better tomorrow, and then we get a juxtaposition with Zeb from Cochrane, which we've heard about before in the series and stuff. But then we find out he was a drunk who was just trying to get a lot of money and then get laid in a place with a bunch of naked ladies. Like, we don't have Riza yet, but we'll get there.
I mean, he was following the dream of what happens at the end of a war. Like, peace happens. You're trying to make things better, and the only real way to make things better is I need to make money so I can have a better life to rebuild from this shit show that just happened. And that's all he was trying to do, and becomes the father of the what we know as the Federation. He's the man who ushered in the future.
Like, it's okay. To be frank, the man was fun. He got drunk. He danced around to music. He was kind of an angry guy, but other than that, he seemed fairly fun.
He was. I would say what this movie does wonderfully is it really captures the spirit of the reluctant hero. Like, you see him just being a guy, and it's like, no, that is such a great man. No, that dude's a dick. But then to try to get him to understand why they needed him to do what they wanted him to do, they had to explain that they were from the future. And even then, it's like, wait, I'm a hero? Oh, fuck you.
Like, I understand why he wouldn't believe it. Like, who would believe that? Like, we're from the future. We need you to do this. Why? Because you're awesome and this happens. Like, nobody would really believe that. And then they showed him proof on the telescope showing him the Enterprise E, and ah, he's like, it's a trick. How'd you do that? And he ran away. They literally kept like hero worshiping him, telling him like, "I went to Zephram Cochrane High School." Like, "Oh my God, can I shake your hand?" And then he's like, "I'm gonna go take a leak," and then just kept running and running. Uh, like,
I
it
mean,
makes
sometimes when
sense.
I got to piss, I run too.
He didn't even have to piss. You know what I mean?
I mean, I
It's
bet
okay.
he, I'm pretty sure he had to be. He was drinking a lot of fucking whiskey.
You get used to it after a while. Besides, okay, he's like the future's like what do you call it? Like the future's like bad father. Like he was gonna go out for milk, he never came back, but they caught
I'm gonna go
him.
test my warp engine.
Also, the warp engine's over there. No, I got another over here.
Yep. The fun stuff.
Like I said, little nitpicks here and there. One thing that I absolutely abhor about this movie: they don't have tequila in the future. They have it in the 21st century with like 20, what was it, 2650, 2060 something? Is this when this movie takes place?
Uh, 2063.
That's
His
it,
first contact
2063.
day is April 5th, 2063.
And then they mention tequila. Diana sort of says, no, Diana just says, I don't, what's it called? They gave me something to drink called tequila, and then she got drunk. Also, drunk Diana is fucking awesome. It was hilarious.
Deanna.
Deanna, Diana. You're right, Deanna. And she, they don't have tequila in the 24th century. The fuck?
They don't have real booze in the 24th century.
They do. They just don't.
No, they don't. It's synthahol. It doesn't get you buzzed. The only time they
No,
have real alcohol is when they steal the Romulan brandy.
they have real alcohols. It's just that for everybody on duty and shit, it's always synthahol. It has the right flavor. It just doesn't get you drunk anymore. Then what's the point? I'm with Scotty on that one. What's the point?
I love when they had Scotty on TNG and they had Data redo his joke from TOS.
Yes.
When there's when they've got the green liquor, and word for word, it's um green.
Oh god. In the future, we might do a series. We're working out logistics on that one, but we'll see.
If we do, it's not going to be Discovery. I will do
We could
any
do.
of the series. No,
We
I would do any of the series with Discovery. I will cave and give you your wish of finally accepting watching Voyager and even saying good things about it if I never have to watch another episode of Discovery ever again.
come on. It okay. I hate Discovery only because of its origin in terms of like they literally took information from another uh what was it from a game that was happening and they literally like plagiarized it and shit and then like that part I hate. But other than that, it's Star Trek.
No, it's not. It is not Star Trek. It is bullshit.
I don't disagree, but it's not made for you.
It's not made for anyone.
Come
You're
on.
tell
Now they're in the
you're telling me Section 31 hid technology that was so advanced that it made the TOS Enterprise look like a fucking Boxwood Derby fucking car, and they hid this technology forever. Like no one ever figured out that this was a thing. A couple hundred years in the future, no one ever declassified this information. Like the spore drive alone would have made Voyager not have to happen.
First of all, I agree with you. Second of all, they're in the future now, so
Yeah, and their ship is still kicking ass without being modified. So this is the technology that they had 20 years before TOS is so advanced that they went 200 years in the future, which puts them just barely past the time of Picard to
I thought it
be
was
a still effective ship.
I thought it was more than that. Also, they did have a retrofit, but still.
Yeah, but hardly anything. They didn't really put future tech on it. They got retrofitted before they got booted to the future.
No, after they got to the future, they were retrofitted again.
I must have missed that episode. I miss a lot of episodes. It's such a garbage show. But still, affected a simple retrofit. Like, not that we need an entire ship. Our technology is so compatible with future tech that we can just plug and play. And yeah, we're a future ship now.
Okay,
Yeah,
moving on.
every other time in all of Star Trek, when they show them going into the future, I don't know how this technology works. I'm damn near retarded because I am a caveman compared to these people, said the most advanced humans ever to exist at that point. But
Okay,
the entire crew of the fucking Discovery can go into the future and, oh, this plugs into this and it works fine.
to be fair, that is kind of how they do things in Star Trek in general.
No, that's how people from the future go into the past and make shit work. People from the past who come into the future don't understand how a goddamn thing works.
Okay, hold on. Okay, literally. Okay, this is more back to the movie, but seriously, they literally took a neuroprocessor from Borg technology, and then put it on a tricorder. Bruh, two different kinds of technology.
Yeah, but at this point, they already had the notes from um, converting Locutus back to Picard, so they knew how to integrate that technology with Starfleet technology.
Eh,
See, they'd already set a precedent that they knew how to do this.
I'm still gonna call a little bullshit, but fine.
Like it might be two different technologies, but again, they've set the precedent in the show. They made a canon event of this is how we can interact this technology to work with this technology. It's janky as fuck, but it will give us good enough results. And that's what Picard does. He basically hot wires a fucking tricorder so he could plug into this neural processor, and it gave him good enough results.
Okay, fine. Another thing. This movie should have been rated X.
Why?
You know why, okay? Literally, the Borg Queen, okay? She is multiple entities in one, okay? She kissed and then implied fuck Data. Okay, so maybe not X, maybe NC-17, but that's an orgy. You can't tell me that's not an orgy.
Uh, Board Queen is Dami Mami. She is 6'2" and she wears a leather onesie.
I'm sorry if I'm too loud. Goddamn.
Plus, she can fly and can control whips with her mind. What is more Dami Mami than that?
Okay, that's starting to fit too fucking well. Goddamn.
And she's got the pale skin and dark lips. Not only is she a Dami Mami, she's a goth Dami Mami.
Okay, I know I brought it up, but I think I want to move on now.
Why? Because am I ruining big titty goth girlfriends for you? Because in 1996, when you were a toddler, you were
I wasn't a
introduced to your
toddler. I was 6.
same thing. Either way, that was when
Fuck.
you were introduced. So that is when your love for big titty goth girls in leather happened.
Bruh, if anything, this is cyber goth or some kind of like cyber BDSM shit.
Still,
Eh.
pale skin and leather. It's been a thing since then. Add in
Since before
tattoos.
then, freaking, what's his name?
Hey, for me, you add in some tattoos and some piercings, some strange colored hair. That's an ultimate combination right there.
Okay, moving on from your preferences. Specifically, though, this movie is a weird mix of different stories because it's got the what do you call it? The Borg going onto the ship. It's got the trying to fix history by getting the Phoenix ready for first contact. It's got the struggle between Picard's emotions and the Borg and his PTSD because he knows so much, he knows how to deal with them, but he also wants to like fight back. He doesn't want to feel the way he was made to feel, which I get that
Well,
completely.
I
I
mean,
completely understand that, but it's three different stories in one, and it's kind of confusing with that theme again.
well, it takes until almost the end of the movie for someone to point it out, but like the main overarching theme of the movie, especially in terms of what's happening to the Enterprise and its crew, is it's fucking Moby Dick. Picard is Ahab, the Enterprise is the Pequod, and the Borg Queen is his white whale. He
Can we
scarred
just
him
go
for
with
life.
Pale Whale? She's kind of
Okay,
gray. She's not exactly white.
but anyway, she's the thing that scarred him for life, and he needed his vengeance.
True, very true.
And then
At the
you
same,
have the side story of Data, who is trying to become more human than human, coupled
that
with
would have
the
been a good
side
song.
story. Yeah, it would have worked perfectly. Especially since I think that song came out around this time too. I think it came out in '95, so it should have worked. I'll have to look up when that song came out by White Zombie. Um, but Data's story is juxtaposed with the Borg Queen's little side story of trying to assimilate everything to stop being human. They're trying to become the perfect machine race. And she sees this weird connection in Data of he is this perfect machine. He's the thing Borg wish they could be. And he's
But
trying to not be that.
but the Borg want to be a perfect synthesis between the organic and the synthetic. You
Well,
can
they just
build a
want,
machine.
yeah, but they just want perfection. They want to understand what is human or organic, but they want to be synthetic. Data has the knowledge set, but he doesn't want to be synthetic. He wants to be organic. He already understands what it is to be organic. That's his entire character journey through all of TNG.
Yeah, Pinocchio wants to be a real boy.
Well, even to the previous movie with Generations when he gets his emotion chip.
The emotion chip, okay, to go a little out of the movie, but it's a little underutilized. I wish they would explore it more, but obviously they couldn't in the middle of the movie.
It gets
Like,
explored a bit more in the future movies, but yeah, it doesn't really get you brought up much in. It's brought up more in Generations. because in Generations it's a big plot device of him trying to get used to suddenly having any form of emotion. And then in this movie, it's, oh, you can just turn it on and off. You don't have to keep pulling it out. So it's choosing when he needs emotion versus when he doesn't need emotion. That's kind of the juxtap- juxtaposition with his story for this movie. It's the only way for him to get this uh, organic flesh that he's, at least that the Borg Queen says that he's so willing. No, he's so covets that he really wants, is he has to have the emotion chip on at all times and cranked to like 11.
Uh, Like that's a very, very creepy type of emotional manipulation. That just no. Like, that's up there with what's his name? What was it? The guy who I forgot what the type of torture is called, but it's like where you specifically like brainwashing. That's it, brainwashing, where you specifically force people to feel different emotions in a specific order to make them more susceptible to whatever you want to do and such.
Yeah,
And but like it's a lot more efficient and a lot more creepy. At least to me it
pretty much.
is.
Yeah, that's what makes
Ugh.
the story so good. Is you're getting these little snippets of data going through this. Like, if they had made that the entire movie, this movie would suck. It's the multiple stories going on at once that are actually what makes this movie good.
I agree, but it's very okay. Let me put it to you this way. That theme would fit more with like you remember that scene with in Jurassic Park where they're going into like this open field and then suddenly they hear the earthquake noise of the brontosauruses like stepping and then they see it and they're like st- stupefied and then like if that theme was playing there it would make sense but like to have that be the theme of the entire movie is with all the different tangles of story going on it's weird if the it would have been also boring if all the stories were the same. I'll give you that, but it it feels a little weird. If like 2 out of 2, it probably would have made more sense because the main theme is specifically about first contact and like holy shit, we're gonna be a part of history type thing.
Yeah, but going back to the musical theming of the movie, like there are a lot of kind of reused themes and modified themes that work so well that like I was picking up on like Worf's theme. Whenever you see Worf doing something awesome or just something that really focuses on Worf, you have his theme, which is a kind of mashup of Khan's theme from the second movie from Wrath of Khan and the generic Klingon theme, but it's very specifically Khan's theme when they're hunting through the nebula trying to find the Enterprise.
Okay, yeah, I gotcha.
But then you also have the Borg theme when you see clusters of Borg doing anything. It's V'ger's theme from the first movie. I mean, it's a little extra synthesized, a little bit more tweaked, but if you really listen to it, it's V'ger's theme.
I didn't notice that until you just said it. Yeah, like
And even Picard's theme is, it's a weird mix of like you can hear the Locutus theme in the background, but then it's also kind of a slowed down version of the the TNG version of Final Frontier.
okay, yeah, yeah.
Because yes, the main theme is called Final Frontier for people who don't know. So like, so the music themes are just, yeah, they're a little all over the place, but it's also paying kind of tribute to the past of Star Trek with the current Star Trek and kind of showing, I want to say showing a progression, like how the past influences the future. I think. I don't
I
know.
gotcha. No, I gotcha. I like that. If I don't know if that's was the idea, but if that is actually really awesome, really deep. I like that.
I mean, I don't know if there's any real deep meaning to anything in this movie. Like I said, well, like, as you pointed out, there's basically three separate stories happening, or technically four, but it's the fact that they're all cut together instead of just being their own standalone little vignettes is what makes them good. Like if they'd resolve the entire Zephyr Captain's first contact thing as a separate thing, and then focused on the Enterprise's thing and Picard's uh Moby Dick situation, and resolved all that, and then dealt with Data's kind of finding his
Temptation.
humanity. Yeah, well, he's finding his humanity. Um, like to have those be separate elements, they could have been like you could watch them as their own separate little vignette stories, but they wouldn't feel complete. They wouldn't feel good. Like they work better as these as a whole. Like having one part of the story be told and then switch perspective to something else and switch perspective to something else. And realizing that these three stories have fucking nothing to do with each other. But because they're interrupting the storytelling of one of the other stories to be seen, it somehow makes it better, makes it feel right. Like there are a lot of other movies that try to do the whole we're telling four stories at once here, but when you get to the end, it turns out it was one cohesive narrative, and they fail at that. This movie fucking nailed it, and I want to say that is not entirely because of, but I want to give as much props as possible to Rick Berman, who helmed Star Trek for so many years and was fantastic at that.
No, I'll give you that. Definitely. The only how do you say it? The only issue I would have had with it specifically was just because the you know what? No, you're right. It definitely makes it also more believable because nothing is ever a cohesive story like it is in movies and stuff. So this makes it a lot more grounded, as it were. Like it's science
Yeah.
fiction. It's not that grounded, but you know what I mean.
Well, like DS9 was airing at the time this movie came out. So DS9 was the kind of standard for storytelling at the time. So if the story of this movie had been told in DS9, it would have been three separate episodes, or maybe even six separate episodes. You'd have the two-parter for Picard's story, the two-parter for Data's story, and a two-parter for Zephyr Cochrane's story. And each one on their own is a good story, and that they can be their own standalone little thing, but they're boring alone. You need
I
them to interrupt the flow of the other stories to make them work, to draw some of their interest. Because if you just sit and focus on those parts, you start losing focus. You start not caring anymore. I don't
okay,
know.
I can
Maybe
see
that's just
that.
me.
I can see that, but I mean, like typically we get like more Picard with his like internal struggle or his understanding of how am I supposed to move forward. In this case, we get Picard when he's a little unhinged, which is a little new to an extent, and at the same
It's
time that could have been explored more, huh?
it's unhinged, but it's also the we're seeing him go through not all the stages of grief. We're seeing him specifically hit the anger and acceptance parts of it. Like he accepts that this horrible thing happens to him, and he is rightfully angry about it. And he leans full into that anger, even to the point of basically telling the crew once they realize that their weapons aren't working. Like he doesn't say the exact words, but basically fix bayonets and just charge in there anyways.
That's another thing. Okay, like specifically, like they have these weapons. They say like, okay, we should get 12 shots. They only got eight. So I counted seven, you counted eight, and then later on they said we'll only get two shots or no, three shots, and then they only got two. No, they only got one. And like,
Yeah,
okay, so even the Borg were adapting faster. But then later on, they have these little shields, and Worf is able to slice through a Borg with his sword. I forgot what they're called. I
I
forgot what the
forget.
sword is called.
Yeah, I forget the little hand knife sword thing. Um,
And it's like his
well, that's
favorite weapon, but I forgot what it's called. Yeah.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like the Borg shields are really similar to the Dune shield. They stop technology based weapons. They stop plasma. They stop
And
energy, the photonic energy, and all that. Because they are frequency based. There's no frequency to swing in your hand.
yes, so then
But it's also the Borg are so strong, it still becomes like Worf can do it because Klingons are stronger than humans. Data could probably swing that fucker and take an arm off too, but Picard isn't going to. None of the
no,
other
I
regular
agree, but
humans are going to.
still, with a knife, they probably would have had a chance because, like you said, a fixed bayonet.
Yeah, I mean they would have had a chance, but they all would have died. Like he was sending them on a suicide mission, and
He
that is the
was.
point in the movie where Alfie Woodard is basically that's when she compares him to Ahab trying to get his whale. And like he rallies so hard against that until he finally really sits and thinks about it and accepts it. But like the crew is they don't want to do this because he's literally telling them to die, but they're also not second guessing him. They bring up their minor objections, but they still go to do it. Just like the Pequot crew did for Ahab. They knew they were being told to go die for his revenge. Like, that sounds stupid, but I'm gonna do it because you told me to. And it shows that level of respect all these people have for Picard. Like, even when he's wrong, it's like, we know it. We know you're wrong. This is the worst course of action. But we're gonna do what you said because you said it. And like there's even the little shouting match between Worf and Picard, where Picard outright calls him a coward, and Worf even goes, "If you any other person had said that to me, I would have killed them where they stood." But because Picard did it, he's backed off.
How to say it? The type of arrogance and believing your own, not even hype, but your own idea, like I'm right, you're wrong, type thing, and then being able to change your mind, like that was. It had to be Alfred Woodard. Couldn't have been anybody else who just answered to him. It
No,
had to be
yeah,
somebody else.
and that's what it is. It's like she was playing on the whole I don't answer to you, so you're going to shut up and listen to me because you don't have a fucking choice. You can't tell boss me around. If you want me to stop talking, you're going to have to make me stop talking. And it's just like that's a great moment in the movie. But it's like I said, that's when you fully 100% they hit it the nail on the head of oh my god, Picard's entire story here is it's just Moby Dick.
Okay, so let's along that same vein. Picard's is Moby Dick, and Data's is usually Pinocchio, but at the same time, in this case, it's literally trying to resist temptation. So kind of like Jesus, and I'm being serious, Jesus in the desert, because first it was like, we're going to break you. Then it was, we're going to give you skin and give you sensation. Then it was, you can be more than you are. And then it was sexuality.
Well, I mean, we could stick to the whale theming, and it's still Pinocchio. It's his escape from
Pleasure Island.
Donkey Island. Yeah, Pleasure
Yeah.
Island. It's just he's trying to fight against the choice to stay on Pleasure Island, and the more he fights it, the more he gets drawn to the whale.
Mm, true. Then we have, like you said, Zephyr Cochrane, the reluctant hero. I can't think of a story of the reluctant hero, unfortunately.
Um,
Like, yes, there's that archetype, but I can't think of a story like that.
yeah, I would say technically, we'll stick to the Moby Dick theme. He's Ishmael. He's the lone survivor narrator who's telling the story. Like we're not seeing like uh, when we're watching the movie, we're seeing Picard's story from Picard's point of view, and we're seeing Data's point of view. But let's think if we think of Cochrane as the Ishmael character, this guy who's trying to tell the story, and it's like, okay, this story seems so fantastic. It can't have actually happened. It's a drunk guy in a bar just telling a story about the future people who came.
That was a storyline in Enterprise. You just reminded me of it, where there was a story about how he got drunk one time and then mentioned how people from the past came to the future. It was when they introduced the Borg in like the polar, like the North Pole, I believe.
Yeah, it's the one time anyone ever mentions the fact that the Borg came to Earth in Enterprise. Like all the rest of Star Trek, just like, nope, that never happened because Section 31 covered it up. Really? And that's why nobody in Starfleet at all, period, knows anything about the Borg until Q zaps the fucking Enterprise to the fucking Delta Quadrant.
They
That,
never.
that
Go ahead.
that whole thing of like them having that, oh, he mentioned there's this thing, is like that was just them covering their asses. That was them scrambling so hard of, oh wait. Why did we have Borg and Enterprise attacking Earth if nobody in the Federation knows anything about the Borg? Like I could see them not taking them as a serious threat because there's only a handful of them. But the fact that there's no information about these people at all, not even a
There was,
reference of, hey, they're cybernetic, there's a race of cyborgs who like to try to take over things.
but like even when they meet the Borg for the first time after seeing Q, there's no mention of like we knew about a world out here, but we just didn't know where because the Borg went back to the Delta Quadrant in a warp like 3 ship or warp 5 ship, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So
It's
like,
like from the point when Q sends the Enterprise to first meet the Borg, from that point on, the Borg become a thing pretty regularly. But anything that is set in the past, nobody knows anything about the fucking Borg. And then they did an episode of Enterprise that very specifically has the Borg on Earth, which ruins the entire canon that nobody from the future knows anything about the Borg because the Borg have fucking been on Earth.
yeah,
But there should at least be some vague mentioning of this. Oh, there's a cybernetic race that tries to assimilate more technology into themselves. Okay, there you go. There's your vague essay to just put in the history things so that we have it going forward. But no, they don't even have that. And in novelizations and comic books and everything, there's no Borg in between Enterprise and TNG ever. So where's the
yeah.
reference? Where's the like? And if we're going to say, oh, Section 31, they covered it up. Okay, why doesn't Section 31 have anti-Borg tech?
That one is probably more along the wait, no, because they also took those pieces of Borg tech. So yeah, you're right. They would have studied it and shit.
Yeah, unless that's supposed to be the canon reason for why. Oh yeah, we made the Defiant a very specific purpose-built ship to fight Borg. Except no, that was because of the Borg cube that attacked Earth in this movie.
Eh, I mean, when you play around with canon and that retconning, it gets annoying.
Yeah, that will always be my issue with Enterprise and why I wholeheartedly accept that for the first few seasons of Enterprise, it was just called Enterprise. It wasn't until the final season that it was called Star Trek Enterprise. And that's because Michelle Roddenberry refused to accept that this was a fucking Star Trek show until she died of cancer. Literally on her deathbed, she granted them their like, fine, fuck it, you're Star Trek. I'm gonna be dead anyways. I mean, it sucked that it took her dying of cancer to, canonize anything from Enterprise, but still, it's because of that last act of hers that actually made all of Enterprise canon when Enterprise fucks with the canon so hard constantly.
Yeah,
Because
I can't.
there are Klingons in Enterprise. Okay? If you say it again, there are Klingons in Enterprise. Discovery a show set after Enterprise, but before TOS, has first contact with the Klingons.
Not
It's
First Contact, but it also
no,
has the.
it's the start of the war,
Tell
and
me
the
that
war
wasn't
was
set as first,
what?
but that war was for some
No,
reason
it
they had the what are they
the
called?
war with the Klingon that is in Discovery that technically is entirely the fault of Michael Barton.
Burnham.
Um, Burnham, I'm sorry, is the war that is the first contact with the Klingons. Well, the human Federation first contact with the Klingons. So again, that is set after Enterprise, but before TOS.
Did you hear about how they explain the different Klingons?
Yeah, it's just a side faction that eventually they took over and became the default Klingons, but
They
it's like,
ev-
but it doesn't make sense because
they evolved independently, and yeah,
yeah, they evolved independently and then they kind of took over Cronus. Fine, we'll accept that they took over Cronus. Except for TOS only takes place 10 years later. They had that much genetic difference in 10 years.
no, they were supposed to like they left Kronos like long ago, and then genetically like differed, or evolved
And then
differently,
they,
kind of like
yeah,
the Klingon,
but
like
then,
the Vulcans and Romulans.
yeah, but then they came back, started a civil war, took over Cronus, and then those are the Klingons that we see in Discovery. And the war that happens at the beginning of Discovery's first season is the Klingon Federation War, which is also the Klingon Civil War. They're the same war. So where are those Klingons in TOS? And then they explain why the TOS Klingons look different. They in a throwaway line in fucking DS9,
They just say
but
we don't talk about that.
they say we don't talk about it. Uh, they actually do explain it. They explain it in Enterprise, and Enterprise makes it make sense. It doesn't make sense, but it kind of makes it make sense. And it's the Klingons we see on TOS that don't have the butt heads are a genetic anomaly created when the Klingons stole the human uh, super soldier serum that made Khan and his people
Yeah, the
and
augments.
you and used it on themselves. So the genetically perfect Klingons that came out of that were literally just regular Klingons that don't have the butt head.
That's another thing. The dude's name is Khan Noonien Singh. That's an Indian name. They had
Played,
a Mexican
played by a
play it,
Mexican.
okay?
Yep.
Which, okay, 60s Hollywood, fine, okay? But then in Enterprise, it looked at least like a white dude.
Oh yeah, they made him British in
Oh
Enterprise
god.
because they
No,
also in the oh yeah no they had a white guy playing him in Enterprise who was vaguely British but not quite British, and then Christopher Nolan latched onto that whole hog. So Benedict Cumberbatch plays Khan in.
no, that was
Oh no,
Christopher
J.J.
Nolan. I thought
Abrams.
that was
No,
that's
I'm
okay,
sorry,
yeah,
J.J.
Abrams.
Abrams. Yeah. So in the Abrams movies, it is a white British man is Khan. Like at least in TOS and in Wrath of Khan, it's a brown guy playing a brown guy.
Yeah, which
I
sounds
mean,
weird, but yeah.
not the same kind of brown, but still, at least it's a brown guy.
I mean, all in all, like we've nitpicked here and there, made a little fun of the movie, but the movie itself is a great movie. And
Oh, it is. The
again,
movie's
little
fantastic.
little nitpicks here and there, but no, it's a great movie, and again, is still one of my favorites because, like we said, it's the beginning of the Federation.
Yeah, and honestly, as lifelong fans of Star Trek, both of us, it's we're always going to be able to nitpick any of this series, any of this franchise because it's one of our favorite franchise. And this movie's almost 30 years old. It's 28 years old as of now. Of course, there's things to nitpick about it. It's an old movie. It's arguably at this point a classic.
Yeah, And to be fair,
But
the TNG movies are better in terms of like hitting home better than the like TOS movies.
yeah, the TOS are definitely a sign of their times, whereas the TNG movies are a little bit more accepting of a future. And then there's the Abrams movies, which are shitty. They are great sci-fi movies. I will defend them as really good sci-fi movies, almost excellent sci-fi movies. They are shit-tastic Star Trek movies. I can't say they're bad movies. They are good movies. All three of them are good movies. They are shitty Star Trek movies. The only one that is a good Star Trek movie is the third one, which honestly is so bad I don't even know the whole name of it. I just know it's the third one.
I forgot the
It's
name. I
it's the one with Idris Elba and the one where they play sabotage to kill a bunch of drones.
let me see. Kelvin timeline movies.
The final movie of Anton Yelchin.
Star Trek Beyond.
Yeah, like that is the one that is. Oh, that's a good Star Trek movie. The other two are just good sci-fi movies that happen to have the Star Trek name attached to them. Kind of like how Enterprise is a good sci-fi television series that happens to have the Star Trek name tacked onto it.
Okay.
And Discovery is a shitty TV show, period, that unfortunately has the Star Trek name tacked onto it.
All right. I
Like,
think we're done.
like
Go ahead.
Strange New Worlds is such a better show, and it's a spin-off of Discovery. Like, how did the spin-off series get Star Trek so right when the base series gets it so wrong? And yes, you will accept that the musical episode of Strange New Worlds is still better and closer to what Star Trek is at heart than any fucking thing in all of Discovery.
I can't believe that you're actually accepting a musical episode, but okay.
It's actually a good episode. It's the only episode I've seen start to finish, from
Who are
literally
you and what have
opening.
you done with Sean?
Like I'm sorry, like Strange New Worlds, I have a hard time sitting down and just watching. So I never get through an entire episode. The musical episode, from start to finish, I've watched it maybe 3 times. I like that episode. It's got a good story. The music is so. And the fact that they
Okay.
point out the whole, why am I singing right now? This is weird.
There's a few entities who probably could have gotten him to sing.
Unfortunately, there are no Q in Strange New Worlds yet. I forget what made them sing. Time to watch that episode again, just so I remember what it was that caused them to start singing.
Okay.
But seriously, this is a good movie. It's fun day. It's fun to celebrate Star Trek in these little ways. This is one of those great movies that it uses an actual date on a calendar, so there's something that you can real world latch onto for this movie. And highly recommend. Even if you're not a big Star Trek fan, if you're a fan of sci-fi, if you're a fan of the good storytelling and decent writing, watch this movie. Star Trek First Contact is like, it holds up.
It does, and like the only nitpick CGI wise was the Vulcan ship at the end of the movie. Literally everything else looks amazing.
Yeah, like almost everything else is totally forgivable because it's 28 years old. It looks great, but no, we'll give it the pass because of how old it is. And then the Vulcan ship at the end, that part has looked janky ever since 1996. Like, there's like, did you run out of budget and just shoehorn that in there, or did you
To be
change the
fair,
design of the ship halfway through the landing sequence?
they probably did. I mean, we've seen anime where they're like, okay, that's where the animation budget went. Everything else is kind of, it looks okay. It doesn't look this great.
True. Attack on Titan, we're looking at you.
Exactly. Or that's that dancing scene in oh, what was it? Love is War. What? I forgot the name of that one. Hold on.
Oh, is that the one that does the
The
720
dance.
fucking the high def end credit dance?
Yes, that one.
And it's like 90% of the budget per episode is the end credits.
Yes.
I forget the show, but yeah, the thing is, that's
Kaguya-sama,
such a
Love is War.
that is such a good song too.
It is.
It gets in your head. I could not get through that whole show, mostly because they keep adding seasons. Like I love that it's getting more seasons, but I got through most of the first season. I was like, the story of the show starts getting grating, but I still watched the end sequence every fucking time because I wanted to hear the song and I wanted to see the beautifully animated dance. But
Like
then
there
there are parts of every episode that look janky as shit because we don't have any budget for animation because we got to render for the next 3 weeks to get the ending sequence to work the right way.
did you ever see I know you don't like ecchi anime, but Rosario Vampire?
I've seen some of it. Yeah,
Okay, so the second season, the ending credits, they have a specific like dancing sequence that they have. It's not as smooth as the Kaguya. It was done earlier, obviously, but it's still interesting to see. It's a little choppy, but not as much.
I've not done second season. I've only done first season of Rosario Vampire, so I'll have to check
Yeah.
that out. But it's one of those shows that I can't say anything bad about it, but I also can't say anything good about it. Like it never really holds my attention, so I'll start watching it, and then I'll either just stop because I'm not interested, or I will literally fucking forget that I watched it because I'll take a big break. I'm like, okay, I'll watch 3 or 4 episodes in a row. I'm going to take a break for 2 days. 6 months later, oh shit, I was watching that.
Yeah, I know the feeling. No, but okay, back to the movie. Great movie. If you haven't seen it, watch it already. It's great. It literally two thumbs up from both of us.
Yeah, it's a great movie. Highly recommend. I think with that, we're going to end this episode. As always, be good to one another.
Keep the faith.
Bye bye.
Bye.